بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
This story tells that the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ had indeed told all the big events that would happen in the future. At that time, after the Isha prayer, the Prophet gave an unusual recitation. The contents of the recitation are about important events that will occur in the future until the Day of Judgment. The Prophet delivered his prophecy, revelation, which he understood so well, that no future leader will lead 300 people or more, unless I am told his name and characteristics. A friend of the Prophet narrated, that night we competed against each other to memorize about a prophet's prophecy. But we can't memorize all the names, maybe because of the non-Arabic names in the futuristic location of the incident. For example, the Prophet mentions German, Hitler, Russia, and others. This was revealed in an ancient manuscript which contains a prophecy of the Prophet Muhammad regarding the future of the world. The manuscript, which is thought to be a collection of mysterious hadith compiled by Abu Hurairah, is still stored in Turkey. It is said that a famous astrologer named Estradamus had copied some of this hadith so that he could have a prophecy that actually happened. Abu Hurairah once said, I memorized from the Prophet 2 chapters of knowledge. For one chapter I have told you, for the second chapter if I tell you then my head will be chopped off. In another narration, people criticize Abu Hurairah, that he is exaggerating in conveying hadith. Then Abu Hurairah said, if I told you everything I've heard from the Prophet, you would have stoned me without first arguing with me. Since Abu Hurairah is dead, let's see what is hidden. According to the hadith scholars, the hadith that was hidden by Abu Hurairah, if the common people knew, it would cause chaos in their midst.
A manuscript or ancient manuscript dating from the 2nd century Hijri in the Turkish National Library of Istanbul. So clearly tells the events in the future as a sign of the end of time. Even the names of figures who are now known to the world are mentioned in the ancient manuscripts. The name of the character is Adolf Hitler, the German dictator whose name is widely known to this day. Even the countries of Germany, Russia, and the United States are also listed in the manuscripts sourced from the closest friend of the Prophet Muhammad. The ancient manuscript containing the words of the Prophet Muhammad was rewritten by researchers entitled Salam wa Harb fi End of the Age of Arab, meaning the end of the Arab era. It is said that the hadith narrated by Abu Hurairah is related to the signs of the end of time. At that time it was deliberately hidden tightly, because it was feared that it would cause slander and division in the human body. Because clearly the Prophet Muhammad has mentioned the names of characters, places, to the reasons for the war as a manifestation of the end of time. In the manuscript it says, if the war of the end times is a war that will occur after the 2 previous great wars. While the second major war that occurred in the world was when a war was waged by a man who became known as Al-Hir. Abu Hurairah also said that Al-Hir, who is most likely Hitler, wants to rule the whole world when he controls a country called Germany. Abu Hurairah in the ancient manuscript wrote a series or Hijri count that has reached 1,300 years, and they made a pact with the king of Rome. In the series of Hijra, it has been 1,300 years. Egypt was ruled by a man called Nasir, Gamal Abdel Nasir, and called the Arabs as the brave from Egypt. Allah despised him in war, and war did not win.
Then Allah willed the Egyptians to gain victory in the months they love. They were then accepted as custodians of Al-Bayt and Arabwain under the rule of a man named Asada. His father Anwar sat at.
But he later made peace with the Al-Aqsa mosque thief in the land of Al-Hazim, Israel. In Iraq there will appear a man who acts arbitrarily, and Sufyani. The dots represent missing data due to missing manuscripts. In one of his eyes there is a sign of laziness. His name is Estradamus. The destroyer of those who allied against him, and little Kuwait he entered. He is Makdum, honorary title of religious expert. There's no good for Zulfiani, probably meaning the Soviet Union, except with Islam. It is good and bad and an accident for the trusted trader of Al-Mahdi. In a series of migrations of 1,400 years in a matter of 2 and 3, data lost, Al-Mahdi al-Alamin went out and fought the whole world, and gathered the lost in the wrath of God. And those who have gone astray by hypocrisy in the land of Isra Miraj on the hillside of Majdun, Israel. In the ancient manuscript, it turns out that there was also a Third World War, but its identity is not clearly stated. Excerpts from the manuscript are more or less as follows. The end of the World War is a world war that is the third time after the 2 previous great wars so many people died in it. War is waged by a man who is a big cat in the land of glasses and a crown on his head. While the second war was waged by a man whose nickname was Big Lord and the whole world called him Al-Hur, probably what Hitler meant. Abu Hurairah also said in a series of Hijrah after 1500 years they made a treaty in which the king of Rum saw that a universal war would occur. Allah wants war and time to run without agreements and agreements. Allah wants war and time to run without agreements and agreements. Fighting all nations in the land of snow and all goodness. He moves with the wrath of Allah after several years of fire burning. He wants to kill the secret of Ar-Roy or Ar-Rus. In that war came out a queen of the world, treason and prostitutes. Her name was America. He seduced the world at that time in misguidance and disbelief. Meanwhile, the Jews in the world at that time were in the highest place. They controlled all of Al-Quds and Ak Medina al-Muqaddasa, the purified city. In the land of Isra and Miraj there was a world war in which Al-Mahdi warned the disbelievers if they did not want to go out. Then the disbelievers of the world gathered to fight Al-Mahdi in an army so large that they had never been seen before. In the group of Jewish forces of al-Khazar and the Bani Israel there are still other troops whose number is unknown. Al-Mahdi saw that Allah's punishment was terrible and that Allah's promise had really come and would not be terminated. Then Allah threw them with the mighty hurl. The earth, the seas and the sky burned for them, and the sky sent down a very bad rain. All the inhabitants of the earth cursed the unbelievers of the world. And Allah permits the disappearance of all the disbelievers in the war of Dajjal and his people in the land of Sham and evil. Text erased. Some of the narrations of Abu Hurairah are events that occurred in the 20th century and beyond. The words recorded in it were foreign to the Arabs at that time, such as Al-Hir in Germany, which later became known as Hitler in Germany. Then the word Rossi, which later became known as Russia and America, namely America. In this paragraph the names of the characters in it are not clearly recorded because the text and the data is deleted. But if you try to analyze and interpret the names, the possibilities are as follows. The first possibility is the President of Russia Vladimir Putin. The connection between the name Putin as one of the originators of World War III is because the relationship between Putin and big cats or tigers and tigers is very strong. He is known as a hunter who is very good at conquering tigers and tigers. He even has the Jungle King's pet. Then is it true that Putin became one of the names of the originators of World War III, which also became the war of the end of time? The next possibility is a leader in a big country who was later dubbed the Tiger of the World. As we know, the United States and the Soviet Union were listed as superpower countries after the end of the Second World War. These two countries are also said to be the Tiger of the World. But the Soviet Union collapsed in the early 90s and left the world with only one tiger, the United States of America. In addition, several countries such as China to Russia have also begun to prepare to become superpower countries in the next few years. Then maybe one of the leaders of the big countries will be the originator of World War III? Furthermore, the meaning related to the land of glass is based on archaeological evidence of the existence of the first glass found in ancient Mesopotamia or Iraq. But ancient Roman historians, it says that the Venetian handle made the first glass in Syria in 5000 BC. so it's possible that the country of glass listed in the manuscript is Syria. The predictions of the Third World War have begun to be clearly seen with the conflicts of Islamic countries in Syria and the turmoil in the Middle East. Western allied countries that are members of NATO are considered to be a real and dangerous threat. The news in the Moscow tabloid, Stikom, lets a famous media in Russia write that the Syrian conflict may trigger a military confrontation between America and Russia. If that happens, the Third World War is getting closer. It is not impossible if the Third World War is a sign of the end of the World War.